Discussion regarding Kim possible and the trust. June 26, 2020 by Anna von Reitz. There is no valid trust involved in any of this entire business, a fact that Herr XXXX knows and which Kim, obviously, does not. So he wisely keeps his mouth shut and lets those who will be deceived, under the tenets of Roman civil law, where all this BS began and where it also must end. It may interest everyone to know that the Latin root word for trust means to murder, the slaughter. Have they not seized upon the assets in this trust as thieves, without the purported donors' knowledge or permission? Have they not then proceeded to murder the victims on paper so as to disable their persons and block them from accessing their own assets? Yes and yes. There can be no possible good to come out of this by allowing the perpetrators or anyone they assign to keep control of the assets they thus purloined. The assets belong to the victim donors and to them must the assets return, by simple operation of law. They constructed this trust under Roman civil law and it is bound by the law under which it is formed. As a thing is bound, so it is unbound. Under Roman civil law it is acceptable to lie and cheat and steal so long as you can get away with it, but once discovered, fraud vitiates everything. Once discovered, in this case, the trust in question must be liquidated, not handed off to an assign chosen by the perpetrators of these crimes. Kim may be an innocent third party, a good woman or not. The point is that the perpetrators of this outrageous crime have no right to further control the liquidation of this phony trust, directly or indirectly. It all belongs to the purported donors and it is up to us to bring forward a plan to return the trust to the victims of this unholy scheme. We have done so, the New Earth Union, globally, and the restoration of the American government in the United States. This is a firm good plan that guarantees the individual rights and property assets of every living man or woman on Earth. Nothing that any trustee or assign like Kim can offer stands against the simple fact that the assets belong to the donors and must go back to them and be under their control. No doubt Kim has been a donor too and should have her part like everyone else, but any idea that liquidating the trust means creating a one-woman mega-fortune to do with as she pleases needs to be recognized as an offer to participate in yet another stupendous fraud made by the perpetrators of this entire circumstance. To which we return an offer to follow the ancient law of Rome which applies to this trust and which mandates its liquidation and the return of the assets to the control of the donors and donor beneficiaries. The presumed donors must come up with a plan, and we have done so. That plan is the New Earth Union, globally, and the restoration of the American government in the United States. All other national governments have the similar opportunity to responsibly rearrange their business affairs and remember the actual purpose of government, which is not to make money. The actual purpose of a government is to protect the people and their assets with the least interference in their affairs. You may judge for yourselves the failure of the corporatist model. The essence of this trust liquidation requires several separate functions. 1. To return the purloined property assets free and clear of debt or encumbrance, so that people are not further harmed. 2. Provide for the government and public functions from the remainder, including infrastructure improvements. 3. Provide for long-term relief from taxation of all kinds. 4. Provide ongoing relief and institutional support for health and education. 5. Establishment of competent and well-regulated means of trade, including lawful securities, free trade markets, and merchant banks. 6. Establish pre-paid credit accounts for individual discharge of municipal debt. 7. Establish basic income stipends to begin paying back profits directly to individuals and families to enhance their quality of life. 8. Establish individual investment accounts to be blocked and managed by the individual people as a nest egg payable upon their retirement. The accomplishment of these goals, and a good many more, may easily be met by disbursement and/or redeployment of principal and remainder man trust assets. Such a solution invites everyone to participate, and not just an elite group of insiders divvying things up in a back room, again. And it provides direct and substantial remedy and relief to the victims of this scheme, which is or should be, the primary aim. I have been accused of wanting to be queen, when in fact my opposition to Kim or anyone else acting in such a capacity, is well documented and recorded. A fiduciary is not a queen. A fiduciary is a responsible business manager. That is all I have ever claimed to be. What I wish to see is the return of the purloined trust assets and the benefit thereof returned to those who have been harmed by this monstrous long-term fraud. Beyond that, I wish for the earth to be restored and mankind as a whole to be empowered by reason and goodwill. I see no reason why all these simple requirements should not be fulfilled. As a final note, lawful assets can only be possessed by lawful persons. Actual and factual assets and certificated securities do not belong to the commercial banks and brokerages and other commercial corporations that have benefited from the special deposits left in their custodial care, and it is self-interested to claim otherwise. Whatever concerns the banks have about the depositors causing havoc need to be assuaged by the realization that the depositors are not fools and stand to gain nothing by causing such a disruption. Everyone concerned needs to additionally realize that continued obstruction by the banks and the commercial courts can only result in these institutions facing liquidation for unlawful activity. Zoom Enda. Working together to deliver relief and remedy to the victims and to amicably resolve a sensible and fair-minded international response to the management of the remainder assets going forward is an absolute necessity. In the last 5 years, nobody but my team has come forward with anything approaching that. The assets and the control of the assets must return to the donors, by public law, by public policy, and most particularly, by the Roman civil law controlling the formation and character of the so-called trust. The inheritors can only be lawful persons, and must stand on the international jurisdiction of the land. The United States of America unincorporated is such a lawful person, and my fiduciary office is a lawful office of the United States of America. I have retained and reclaimed my own lawful person and assisted thousands of other people in America and around the world to do the same. More people wake up and join us every day. Links to Anna's articles and resources can be found in the video description box. Thank you for subscribing, liking and sharing.